Chris Scalzo here with
Obi-Wan Adidas.
Thank you for that. I appreciate you really taking the time to work up into that. So that was really worth it for me. On this episode of The First Round, Matt and I are going to discuss the latest from Bob Zemeckis, my good buddy Bobby Z. And he's back with Brad Pitt and Marion Cotillard in the World War II romantic thriller Allied. We'll also discuss the expansion of the Harry Potter universe with Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. And then finally, Matt, we're going to go through what we think are the 5 best, or at least our 5 favorite movies that center around betrayal. Not to give anything away about Allied. So, Matt, let's start things off with a clip from Allied.
I'll take the couch.
You'll sleep on the roof. In Casablanca, that's where husbands go. They're watching us. Now kiss me.
Said you were beautiful and good.
Being good at this kind of work is not very beautiful.
After the war, you have a place?
When the war is over, it won't matter where I am.
We found each other. Come with me to London. Come with me and be my wife.
I love you with all my heart.
There's no easy way to say what we're about to say.
We suspect your wife is a German spy.
It's insane.
If you are right, all this will be forgotten. But if she is,
You will execute her with your own hand, and if you do not comply, you'll be hanged. For 72 hours, we shall know for sure.
Is this a game? The test.
everything is a test.
So, Matt, this week we're talking about Allied. It's a World War II thriller. It starts off with Brad Pitt meeting up with Marion Cotillard behind the enemy lines in Casablanca, and they are tasked to take out the German ambassador and pretty much any other Nazi they possibly can while they're there. And from there, our couple falls in love. They go back to London. And then, as you heard, there's suspicion that Cotillard's character, Marion Bijour, I think, is actually a German spy. And Pitt now is married to her. They have a child together, and he's convinced it isn't true. And he goes on a search to confirm that she is indeed innocent. Matt, I think Zemeckis has always kind of, I don't know if he considers himself a modern-day Hitchcock, but I think he really sticks the landing with What Lies Beneath, the film he shot in between shooting Castaway. Mm-hmm. And I feel like he's going again for that mood here, right? Could she be, or is everything going to be all right? How do you feel about that? Do you think is this another solid ode to Hitchcock? Does he stick the landing on this one?
Yeah, I think he sticks the landing better than he makes the build up to it. While I was watching this film, I wasn't quite sure where this was going because I hadn't actually looked into it very much. I didn't really know that much about it, other than the fact that it was possibly the film that broke Brangelina apart. That's all I'd known about it, really. Yeah, so I mean, I wasn't really sure where this is going. I was expecting more kind of like a standard spy fare, which is kind of what I got, espionage, intrigue. But then kind of when it was over in the first, half hour, I was like, okay, now what's going to be the rest of the movie? And then it kind of went into the rest of it. And it definitely built and it got better, certainly as it went along. And yeah, I think at the end, it really did stick the landing.
Interesting. I think I have the exact opposite opinion.
Okay.
I feel, though I like the beginning of it, I feel that could have been its own film, the infiltration into Casablanca. Mm-hmm. But granted, that's not the core of the story here, right? We need to establish this relationship and to then unfold the potential betrayal or happy ending. And I gotta say, I think he does a great job of stringing us along. I think this is flawless technical direction. I really do. I enjoyed the mystery of the whole thing, but for me, the film lacked spark. It lacked a real sense of vibrancy and life for me. And I think I can boil it down to one question for you.
Okay.
And this really has me nervous. Not, well, relatively. Does Brad Pitt struggle when he's not playing some type of hyper-stylized character? Because I got to tell you, he was the weakest thing in this film for me. I did not buy him basically for an instant.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's a fair assessment. I mean, there's something seemed off about him. He seemed more wooden than he normally was. I don't know if it's because he was phoning it in. I don't know if it's because the character's outside of his range. But yeah, this role didn't ask him to do that kind of smarmy, charming Brad Pitt shtick that he always does, or kind of silly stuff that he does. It asked him to play it straight, and you're right. I don't think it came off very particularly successful. He was pretty wooden throughout the whole thing.
It really bothered me. Now, listen, he's, you get the whole smarmy thing, right? That's your Ocean's trilogy, which he's a lot of fun in. And then you have the crazy characters, your Fight Clubs, right? Your Inglourious Bastards.
12 Monkeys.
Yeah, exactly. But he nails Moneyball.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really good in The Big Short. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I hesitate to say that, that's the case, that he needs to play some type of, well, Billy Bean's, the character was pretty, I don't know. I was really disappointed with his performance in this film. I don't know what it was. I don't feel like he was sleepwalking through it. I mean, I thought he was better in Fury, which I think is a far inferior film to this.
Mm. Well, maybe it's more that he can't play the kind of uncertain, tortured, those emotions. Maybe that's I'm thinking back. I can't think really of any film that immediately comes to mind where he tries to play that same type of role. So maybe it's just outside of his range. Possibly,
but it was a real sore thumb for me in this film. It really stuck out, unfortunately, because overall, I enjoyed it. It doesn't. I think, unfortunately for me, it ends as a background film.
Yeah.
I feel like this is something that I would have on in the background while I'm doing other tasks in the house.
Right.
So it's too bad, because there were parts of it I enjoyed. I thought the mystery portion of it, isn't she? I think Zemeckis does a pretty good job of keeping that going, and dropping little hints, but then, giving us outs to think maybe everything's going to be all right. And maybe that's more the strength of Stephen Knight's script. I'm not sure. But still, overall, I don't know. I'm still kind of on the fence on this. I enjoyed it, but inevitably I was kind of just meh and let down. And I remember too, because earlier in the year when we were doing our most anticipated films of the year, this didn't make the cut for me. I thought I think it was an honorable mention, and I guess my first assumptions were that we're going to be correct. I don't know. Yeah. Overall, what did you think? So you in the landing, the ending of it too, though I think inevitable, didn't really have the emotional punch for me that I thought it would. But I think that may be the fault of Brad Pitt's performance.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I mean, I would definitely categorize this as a background film. It's not something that I was blown away by. I mean, I enjoyed it while I was watching it in the theater. This is kind of one of those kind of middle of the road, crafted with some skill kind of film that, it'll be an enjoyable diversion, but you're never going to sit down and be like, man, I really want to watch Allied again because it was so much fun. And I think I enjoyed it a little bit more than you did, but that's probably because I'm less of a Hitchcock scholar than you are. If that's what you're trying to make the comparison to, but yeah, I mean, it was fine. It was fine. It's an enjoyable diversion, but I wouldn't say it's something that's a must-see film.
I think the film really rests on Marion Cotillard, and I think she is fantastic in this. And I don't want to say just her wardrobe, which I think is stunning, but I just like that whole period, style-wise. But her performance in this, I think she's the one that keeps this thing rolling. I think her potential duplicity, but her real emotions and dedication to her husband and child, I think, really come through, I think, in this film. And for me, she's the reason why I was involved the whole time. That, and as I said, the mystery being strong enough to keep me hooked. But yeah, I think if there's anything worth seeing in it, though, it's probably Cotillard's performance, and it is well written. And as I said, it's a flawless film. It really is. I think I feel like it's trying to be a classic film today, and it just falls a little flat, right? I feel like it's what's the Cary Grant Bergman Hitchcock German spy film. I really think that's what he's trying to do here. Suspicious about I can't remember the name of it now. That's embarrassing. But I really feel like that's what he's going for here, and it just comes up a little short.
It's unfortunate.
So I'm trying to think. I'd probably still give it a B- as a letter grade, just because there's, I think, enough to enjoy, and it's so well done, and it's enjoyable enough to watch. Just keep in mind, though, you're going to be a little deflated by the end of it, I think. And again, I don't think this is something you need to run out to the theater to see. I just don't.
Yeah, I give it a B, but I would concur with pretty much all your sentiments.
Fair enough. If you had a chance to see Allied, would love to hear your thoughts. As always, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, next up, here's what's coming up on Blu-ray and DVD this upcoming Tuesday. That is December 13th. A film that I think we enjoyed more than we thought, but still, it didn't do the job it was supposed to do. And that's Suicide Squad is being released. It includes an extended version, which is 10 extra minutes. If you buy it from Target, you get a digibook. Amazon has Harley Quinn and Deadshot statues individually. Best Buy has either a steelbook or a graphic novel version. There's a gag reel and then one interesting featurette. It's about 23 minutes long. That kind of traces, the history of the Suicide Squad in the comics, where they started up and through getting to the big screen. Is this something you'd want to revisit at some point, Matt, the Suicide Squad film?
Not really. I mean, it's going to be one of those things that I'm going to...
You think 10 minutes more, a Joker cut wouldn't do it for you? Because for me, that was one of the weakest things in the whole film.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, again, it'll be one of these things. If it's on HBO or something, I'll be like, hey, I'll maybe watch a few minutes of this, but I'm not going to go out of my way to see it.
Yeah, I may get it if it's like $10 or under. Maybe just get the iTunes version. I don't know. Either way, just because of my faithfulness to DC. Morgan is being released. Sorry. Includes a Blu-ray, DVD, digital copy, ultraviolet. There's some deleted scenes, feature audio commentary by Luke Scott, as well as Loom, a short film by Luke Scott, who's the writer-director. Morgan, that's the one with the woman from Witch, and she plays a genetically created, adapted person who breaks out and takes everybody out with Rooney Mara. Bridget Jones's Baby is being released as well. I saw this with the missus, and it's fine. Another fine entry. And if you're a Bridget Jones fan, Matt, which I know you are, The Baby, third film, is well worth your time. Includes an alternate ending, gag reel, deleted and alternate scenes as well. Tim Burton keeps Tim Burtoning with Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Includes some behind-the-scenes featurettes on that. Matt, I had no motivation to see this thing whatsoever, which is too bad. I love Eva Green, but I feel like I'm just kind of Tim Burtoned out at this point.
I hear you. It didn't look like it was that exciting, even with the kind of weird visuals and stuff.
Yeah, we'll see if they end up doing that Beetlejuice too.
Can't wait.
Florence Foster Jenkins is being released with Meryl Streep and Hugh Grant. Includes some deleted scenes and other behind-the-scenes featurettes. South Side with You, which is a little film about how Barack and Michelle Obama met. Includes an audio commentary with the writer-director, Richard Tan. Ben-Hur, Timur Birkin, is that how I say it? The Russian director gave us Night Watch and Day Watch, two really visually interesting films. Well, his modern-day version, Needless, modern-day version of Ben-Hur is being released on Blu-ray as well. Put some deleted and extended scenes. What's the point? I just see there's some films there's no need to touch. Ben-Hur is one of those films. Equity, the film starring Anna Gunn from, what's it called? Breaking Bad, is being released. It's just the Wall Street thriller that's actually all female cast based. And then Clown Forever from our friends at the Alamo Draft House. There's original film Clown, and there's these kind of just really screwed up, raunchy, inappropriate comedies. And they're releasing Clown Forever on Blu-ray as well. New to Blu-ray, Matt, it's a big week. I apologize. Thanks for sticking with me. Criterion has given us The Asphalt Jungle. Includes a new 2K digital restoration. Audio commentary from 2004 by film historian Drew Casper, and a bunch of other stuff. They're also releasing Roma, which is a travelogue, memoir, an outrageous cinematic spectacle converging in Kaleidoscope Valentine to the Eternal City. Includes a new high-definition digital transfer audio commentary featuring Burke, author of the book Fellini's Films. Some deleted scenes as well, interview with the Italian poet and Fellini friend Valerio Magrelli, and a bunch of other stuff. But probably the one I'm most excited about, Matt, is Scream Factory's release of Black Christmas. We really haven't had a good version of Black Christmas on Blu-ray. I finally broke down 6 months ago and bought a used copy for like $5 at the local record store here. And of course, like 2 weeks later, they announced this release. Includes an all-new 2016, I think is the word, 2K scan of the original camera negative. The problem is the scans of the transfers have always been atrocious. So I'm hoping that this one's going to be better. Includes another commentary by the director Bob Clark. Matt, what other famous Christmas movie did Bob Clark direct?
How dare you give me a question you know I'm not going to be able to answer? I have no idea. I can take a shot in the dark, I guess.
Go ahead. It involves a Red Ryder BB gun.
Oh, really? Christmas Story, huh? All right. Very good.
Yep. So he directed one of the most beloved Christmas family comedies of all time, as well as one of the greatest horror films revolving around a holiday of all time. I don't even know if I need to qualify it. Black Christmas is actually really good. The original. If all you know is the remake they did about 5-6 years ago, you have no idea. This one is actually really good. And includes a whole bunch of new special features as well. So if you're a Black Christmas fan, this is the version you've been waiting for. Go and pick it up this weekend or next weekend. Dreamscape is being released by Shout. You remember Dreamscape with Dennis Quaid?
Yeah, vaguely.
All right, well, now's your chance to vaguely remember it and watch it again.
I just remember
a whole bunch of featurettes.
I just remember on the box in the video store, it had it looks like a cobra monster on the front of it. That stuck with me. That's really all I remember about Dreamscape.
Yeah, I think everybody probably falls into that camp. But you can check that out. What else is coming out? Arrow is releasing Creepshow 2 on Blu-ray, limited 3,000 edition. They're also releasing Driller Killer, Abel Ferrara's, I believe, first film, in a 2,500 limited edition steelbook. Jack Frost is being released by Vinegar Syndrome. If you're not familiar, Jack Frost is the bad one. The Michael Keaton one's bad too, but this is the one where it's kind of like Chucky, where some bad guy's soul gets put into a snowman, and he kills people. It's actually pretty entertaining, but horrible. Twilight is giving us Stardust Memories, the Woody Allen film, and then finally, Matt, mercifully, your straight to DVD pick of the week is Star Paws. The battle between cats and dogs goes galactic. Adventure Cat and his evil kitty army hope to snatch a magical galactic bone that will give them the power to take over the entire galaxy. It's up to an elite group of space dogs, headed by the intrepid General Ruff, to beat Adventure Cat to the bone. And that's Star Paws. It's a dog and cat version of Star Wars, basically.
All right, sounds pretty awesome. I mean, who needs to go see Rogue One now? Let's go see that.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So did you stream anything this week?
Yeah, so in honor of a film that we're going to be doing pretty soon, I won't give it away because it's very exciting, but this is a martial arts classic. So just released on Netflix is Bruce Lee's The Way of the Dragon, released in America as Return of the Dragon. This is the one where Bruce Lee travels to Rome, defends a Chinese restaurant against some Italian mobsters, and in one of the best fight scenes ever, fights Chuck Norris in the Coliseum and rips his chest hair out with his bare hands. And it is an amazing film. If you're into martial arts movies at all, or even kind of those old 70s schlocky movies, I mean, you should have seen every Bruce Lee film there is, but this is definitely up there with one of the best, as possibly the best one.
Go ahead. Yeah. Where's the one where he fights Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
That is Game of Death. Now that one, okay, that's a bit of a controversy because that's the film where he died while he was filming it. So all they have is that end fight scene where he's fighting his way up a tower. Everything else is basically they use a body double and they shoot everything from behind, and they tackle it, and very tactlessly he fakes his own death, and they use pictures of Bruce Lee's real body at his own funeral to kind of sell the fake death thing. So
I did not know that. It's dark.
It is. So that film is 99% terrible, but you're right. The fight scenes, especially the one against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, is fantastic.
Interesting. All right. I gotta admit, my Bruce Lee canon is pretty small. I have Enter the Dragon, which I don't even know if I've ever seen all the way through.
Oh, no,
So,
that's a fantastic.
I've seen bits of it in the end, unfortunately. So,
Well, you gotta watch Way of the Dragon. Again, fighting Chuck Norris, two martial arts legends going at it, and like I said, he rips Chuck's beautiful mane of 70s chest hair out with his bare hands, and it is gross.
all right, something to do this weekend. That's fantastic. So, did you get a chance to see the Spider-Man trailer?
Hell yeah, I did. I'm actually pretty stoked. Although, so I've seen the two trailers. There's two trailers. There's the American trailer and there's the international trailer. The American trailer is more kind of focuses on the funny and the high school and the kind of relationship stuff, which I thought looked good. You got the quippy Spider-Man, and then the international trailer is more about the action stuff like that. I'm excited for it, although I have to say I'm not like patient. Spider-Man is my absolute favorite superhero. That was the comic book I read when I was growing up religiously, and I'm really excited to see what Marvel can do with it. But I'm a little nervous because, I mean, shit, we've got 5 Spider-Man movies, so it's we'll see what else they can bring to the table.
Yeah, I didn't even see the international trailer. I've only seen the U.S. version, but I liked it. I like the confirmation. I don't know if it was official that Michael Keaton was going to be Vulture, but we definitely know for sure now. So I think that's fantastic. And yeah, I guess you live long enough to see yourself become the villain, right?
There you go. Shocker's in this as well. So that's
is he? Oh, that's right. He is. That's right. He
Yeah.
is. Interesting. Awesome.
All right,
Well,
I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about the Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. But first, let's hear a little clip, shall we? We shall.
There's strange things going on all over the city. The people behind this are not like you and me. There's a hidden society. It goes back centuries.
Yesterday, a wizard entered New York with a case. A case full of magical creatures. And unfortunately, some have escaped.
Teeny, you brought Matt home.
That's Mr. Scamander. He's lost something I'm going to help him find.
We're going to recapture my creatures before they get hurt. They're currently in alien terrain, surrounded by millions of the most vicious creatures on the planet. Humans.
Magical beasts are terrorizing no-mages. When no-mages are afraid, they attack. Contain this, or it'll mean war.
So, Matt, here we are. So, I guess my first question for you, have we succeeded in expanding the Harry Potter film franchise?
I would give this a resounding yes, and at the risk of being blasphemous to for a very passionate portion of the fandom out there, I actually enjoyed this probably a lot more than most of the Harry Potter films.
And me, clearly. This thing, I feel like 2/3 of this film are them just traipsing around trying to recapture all the things that escaped from his suitcase. But nothing really happening.
Okay.
Nothing meaning anything. Just one scene after another of trying to interject humor and some weird sex stuff. Quite fine. But they want to do it as dully as possible.
Okay.
I felt Eddie Redmayne in this was almost non-existent. I feel like anybody could have done that role. I feel for a man who's won he's a couple nominations. Has he won twice already? Or he's just been nominated twice for Best Actor. I know he stole one from Michael Keaton.
Come on now. I know
I just feel that I don't want to explain to me why, Matt, I was so bored. Why am I wrong? I just feel like this thing just wouldn't end. And by the time it got going, I didn't care anymore. I thought the ending, at least the ending of it, was entertaining. The final reveal, which you knew was coming a mile away, though I was kind of hoping he was going to be more he was working for somebody. Basically, it's just we're recreating Harry Potter all over again, just in a different location with a couple different beats, but it's basically the same thing.
Okay.
And
I disagree with you quite a bit. So I will say this.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. I mean, the chase after the Fantastic Beasts, as it were, that takes up a lot of the time. But what I appreciated about it, and one of the things that always got me about the Harry Potter films, especially when they start off, it's all this base work. Like, they're laying all this foundation, like, this is going to be important later, there's some great destiny, this story is going to keep going, kind of thing. And I think the movies in and of themselves, especially until they get going around the third or fourth one, they suffer for it. I mean, I went back and watched, my daughter wanted to watch Harry Potter. She's never seen it before, and I watched those first two, and those are bad movies. They are not good at all, and they were painful, and she could barely hold her interest. So I'm like, I don't even know if by the time these things are going to get good that you even going to start want to watch these things. So, and what I appreciated about that is you don't seem to really have any of that. You don't need the world building. You don't need the kind of gee whiz, look at what magic does. These are that kind of stuff. It just comes in. You already know everything about the Harry Potter verse. The thing that's different is it's a different country. They get their little, digs on how it's different in America or whatever. But then the rest of it is just, it's just, again, this is a movie meant for kids ultimately. I mean, granted, it's a little more ribald than some of the stuff we saw from Harry Potter, but this is a kid's movie, so it's based around having an adventure to go do stuff. And honestly, the action scenes were a lot better. The special effects are 1,000 times better than anything that was in any of the Harry Potter movies. All of that stuff is way more effective as far as that goes. So yeah, I mean, it was fun. I mean, do I think it's brilliant or anything like that? I mean, no, I don't think it's better than some of the entries in the Harry Potter film, but I would definitely take this over any of the weaker Harry Potter films any day.
For me, that's one of my notes, is that it's all about the effects. I feel there's a showcase for special effects. I mean, it's exceptionally well done in that department, but I feel that's the problem. That's part of the problem. As you never really develop any kind of concern or feelings for any of these characters. At least I didn't. I enjoyed Fogler. I thought he was fine, as I said, but Redmayne was just transparent to me entirely. He could have not even been in the film.
But I mean, he's supposed to be a nutty professor character. He's not supposed to have the burden of destiny of you're the one, Harry Potter, and your friends are all the ones and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's just different. It's just a different story. And
is it possible too he's not even going to be in the second one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, this is what makes me nervous. So I looked up at IMDb because I know David Yates directed this, and I couldn't remember what else he had directed really beyond those last 4 Harry Potter films. And I looked at it, and he's signed up for 5 more of these freaking things. There's going to be 5 Fantastic Beasts. So I don't know, and that makes me concerned. So I mean, in the sense of, okay, we're getting away from the Fantastic Beast part, so now we're going to go into yet another magical evil wizard war, United States fighting, German Nazi wizard or whatever the hell it is.
You don't sign Johnny Depp for a 30-second cameo, all right? So clearly he's going to have a larger overarching role in this series. You're right, though. When I saw that, too, that there's 5 more films. Now, I appreciate that J.K. Rowling actually wrote the film. And the book that it's based on, obviously, which is more of a novella, right?
Yeah,
but still, I don't know. Once it got going into the actual story, once we get into the focus of why this whole thing even exists, I thought it did get much better for me.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed Ezra Miller. I thought he was solid as well. He's the Flash, and I just it's fine. Once it gets going, it's better. But again, for me, this is more spectacle. It's more about the effects, and it just fails when it comes to me giving a damn about anybody in this movie.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if this is the beginning of the expansion of the franchise into something else, and this is the groundwork they're going to lay, I think they did a hell of a lot better job than they did when they started off Harry Potter. I found it enjoyable. Granted, it's fluffy. There's fluff to it. It's not any kind of deep film, but if they expand upon, if the rest of these films are going to be expanding upon the whole kind of suppression of your abilities and this obscurus thing, which I thought was a pretty cool idea, and Salem and all that kind of stuff, I think that's a lot more interesting than the crap with Voldemort and Horcruxes and all that other stuff from the stupid Harry Potter movies, which I'm not a huge fan of, if I have to be completely honest with you. But yeah, I think it's a lot more. I think there's more interesting ideas in this that they could build off of. That I'm interested to see what they do.
Yeah, I think that's actually a great idea. I would be interested in seeing that. I just hope it's an interestingly told story. That's all. Because they're right. There are some great ideas that we'll see if they develop. I just don't know. 5 more films. I just don't.
Well, to be fair, I think it's 4 more films. There's supposed to be 5 of them. So 4 more films.
Oh, well, never mind then. Everything.
Well, then let's just back off a little bit here.
I agree with you. Those first 2 Potter films are not good. The third one, of course, is the best film. We agree on that, correct?
Yeah, we do agree on that, yes. But that's because of the director, yes.
Yeah, and then the last 2, the final film, however you want to put it, that breakup, that first one, that part 1 is interminably long. That thing is ponderous, man. That is ponderous.
Yeah.
I can't. We watched them all again because Jen wanted to see them. So I think was it earlier this year? I can't remember. But this year we watched them all again. And you're right. Yeah, yeah, definitely. All right. So what's your verdict? For me, I'm going to say I think just technologically, I think you should go to the theater and see this because it's worth it for the effects. But that's it. Outside of that, I would say it pains me to say it. I don't think I even care to see it. I don't know if I could tell you to see it. Unless you're a fan of this stuff, then go ahead and go see it in the theater so you get the full impact.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think definitely if you're a Harry Potter fan, you've already seen this. If you've got kids who are kind of older, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily take super young kids to this because it has some pretty dark stuff in it. But if you've got kids, it's a good film for them to go see. And I definitely would see it in the theater because I think the effects are fantastic. So I think you'd lose something on waiting to see it on home video. So take the kids. If you've already seen Moana, go out and see this, and you'll have a good time.
There you go. If I probably my letter grade would be a C-. Where do you fall?
I would probably go with a B-. I thought it was a lot better than a C-.
Fair enough. All right. Shoot us an email, feedback@thefirstrun.com. Tell me how wrong I am and why. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Maybe I could be convinced. I doubt it. I need to seriously take some time, though, with myself to think. Is it just Eddie Redmayne? Am I just still angry about the Michael Keaton thing?
I think you're holding a grudge against Eddie Redmayne. Why don't you relax, man? It's not his fault. What's supposed to go? What is supposed to go? Like, no, I don't deserve this. Here, Michael Keaton, you can have it.
Yes. You should pull a Kanye, and say, Michael Keaton actually deserves this and hand it over.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. See, that would be the gentlemanly thing to do. Matt, let's move on. I think it's all time just to put this to bed and just try and move on with our lives. And let's talk about what we think are the 5 best, or at least our 5 favorite betrayal films.
He said that you were being tough on the negotiations, but if they could get a little help and close the deal fast, it'd be good for the family.
You believe that story? You believe that?
He said there was something in it for me, on my own.
I've always taken care of you, Fredo.
Taking care of me? You're my kid brother, and you take care of me? Did you ever think about that? Huh? Did you ever once think about that? Send Fredo off to do this, send Fredo off to do that. Let Fredo take care of some Mickey Mouse nightclub somewhere. Send Fredo to pick somebody up at the airport. I'm your older brother, Mike, and I was stepped over.
That's the way Pop wanted it.
It ain't the way I wanted it. I can handle things. I'm smart. Not like everybody says. Like dumb, I'm smart, and I want respect.
Matt, I can't think of a more cliched betrayal in the history of cinema, but the greatest betrayal in the history of cinema, and that is Fredo in Godfather Part 2. I made myself very specific rules on this. The focus of the film had to be the betrayal, okay? So a lot of stuff that I wanted to include couldn't make the cut, one of them being Godfather Part 2. But I'd realized I don't think we'd ever used that clip in any of the shows, so I felt it was due. So we got that out of the way. We got the I'm smart clip out of the way, and we can move on now.
Yeah, I agree. That's the same criteria I used. I mean, I was looking at stuff. I was like thinking of instances of betrayal, but then I'm like, the movie itself isn't really about the betrayal. So as much as I want to, I can't include those things. So, oh well.
All right, so I'll start things off so you get the ultimate number one.
Yeah, I do.
My number 5 then is going to be the Mel Gibson film Payback. Which is a remake of Point Blank, the Lee Marvin film, which may be a better film, but there's just something about Gibson, and it's kind of just one of his last great films. No, I should clarify, he didn't direct it or write it, but he plays Porter, a guy who is betrayed by his criminal buddy, and he gets shot and left for dead, and he survives, and then spends the rest of the film basically trying to track everybody down who betrayed him, the one guy, and then get his money back. He has 140 grand he was supposed to split, and he just wants his 70 grand back and to kill the guy who screwed him over. And this film is his path to getting that done. He really is a bad guy in this film. All right, he is an anti-hero, but it's a lot of fun, and it's interesting seeing Gibson in this role. And this is, of course, just before everything went horribly wrong for Mel, much of his own doing, of course. But still, it's just a fun modern noir kind of throwback crime film. So, and I've always really enjoyed it. So that's my number 5.
I don't think I've ever seen Payback. I'll have to check it out. All right, so my number 5 is I may be breaking the rules a little bit here, but I feel like the entire crux of the plot is about deception and betrayal, and this is Quentin Tarantino's first film, which is Reservoir Dogs. So essentially what this is a film about a bank heist, where you never actually see the bank heist. Everything is in the aftermath. People are injured. Some of them have been killed, and they're trying to figure out what to do and how to unload the diamonds, because everybody knows the cops is after them. With little do they know that one of them is an actual undercover cop, and it all kind of this it gets kind of like a closed room. Everything kind of takes place in one location for the most part. Very tense, very violent. Really put Tarantino on the map, and I think it really is kind of like a suspenseful kind of when are they going to find out kind of thing.
Yeah, I went back and forth on Reservoir Dogs because I don't know. I guess it is. Yeah, I guess so. I was just thinking too. Has there ever been a stage play version of that? Because I feel like that would be interesting to watch. I know there's talk of doing one for The Hateful Eight, but you can do that with Reservoir Dogs too, easily.
Yeah. Man, we should find some theater geeks and pitch that to them. We could be brilliant. And if we could write songs, maybe we could make it into a needless Broadway musical. We could do the next big thing.
I like where your head's at. I'll have to look into that. All right, my number 4 then is Christopher Nolan's first big film, which is Memento. Guy Pearce plays a guy who wakes up in a hotel room. He can't make any new short-term memories, Matt. So he has to tattoo himself clues so he can figure out who killed his wife. Now, you could say it's a mystery, but I really think the core of this film is ultimately the betrayal and what happens to his character throughout this film and why. And that's the key, is why. So if you haven't seen Memento, it also runs backwards, right? So we basically start with the ending. And at the end of the film, we find out basically what's happening and where everything started. If you buy the special edition DVD of this, Matt, you can actually, as a bonus feature that you have to unlock, you can watch the film reversed from start to finish. So for some reason, they haven't included. They've released it on Blu-ray twice now. One with a newer one that's got a much better transfer, but they didn't include that as a feature, so I haven't upgraded. But still, it's fantastic. It really kind of put Christopher Nolan on the map. I think he did Following first, which is his short film, and then Memento, right? That was his first big film.
Yeah, you're right.
So still, I think one of the best films of the 90s, clearly. It's top 5 for me, I think. So if you haven't seen Memento, there you go. I don't want to see too much because there's a mystery involved, and I don't want to. But there you go. Number 4.
All right, my number 4 is also a cheat, and it's also Mr. Tarantino. My favorite Tarantino film, much to Chris's chagrin, is the Kill Bill series. This is essentially, and again, I count them as one film, but essentially Uma Thurman's character, she betrays Bill, who's played by David Carradine, by leading him, and then he betrays her by trying to have her killed, and in her entire wedding party, and her fiance and the preacher, and that nice piano player played by Samuel L. Jackson, which is a real shame. But the rest of the film is obviously her, as she says very explicitly, wreaking a path of bloody revenge through the rest of the people who wronged her, and it is absolutely fantastic. Such a fun watch, but again, I think based on the betrayal, maybe a cheat, but that's kind of what sets everything in motion.
Yeah, I would think so. I think it's a fine line because betrayal films and revenge films kind of go hand in hand for the most part. There are some that don't, and one of my honorable mentions kind of gets into that. I could have cheated majorly with one of my honorable mentions, bigly, but I decided not to use it on my list. So, but you'll find out what that is shortly. So my number 3 then is Hitchcock's Dial M for Murder. A man basically hires someone to kill his wife, even though but it's what's brilliant about it. I think it was Hitchcock's only 3D film. No, it wasn't, because I think The Birds was released in 3D, but it was his first. And it's just a fantastic little mystery, not even really a mystery, you know what's going to happen, but just a fantastic little suspense thriller where the whole thing is set up where he goes out for the night and he's going to call her, which is a cue for the guy that snuck into their apartment to, when she goes to the phone, to strangle her. Except what happens is Grace Kelly, of course, is able to fight back and kills her attacker. And her husband, now Ray Milland, has to figure out how he's going to get out of this mess before the detectives figure out that he was the one really responsible. But it's the ultimate betrayal, right, Matt? Spousal betrayal. You know, there's separations, there's divorces, and then there's your stuffy English husband who wants to have you killed. So I've always really had a soft spot in my heart for Dial M for Murder, so that's why it's my number 3.
Very good. All right, so as we go through my list of directors I really like, so my number 3 is relatively recent, and I don't know if I love the film. It has a lot to go for it, but I thought it was a very good example of a betrayal film, which is David Fincher's Gone Girl, which I think, did that come out last year?
2 years ago, I think, at this point.
2 years ago? Okay. But in it, essentially, Ben Affleck, he plays an adultering husband whose wife disappears under mysterious circumstances, and he gets accused of her murder. And then it turns out that she has faked her murder because she is planning to get back at him for cheating on her, essentially. And then when it comes out, it gets even twistier and twistier, and all kinds of different crazy stuff happens. So chilling performances by the female lead, and I'm drawing a blank on her name, which is very bad. Let's see here. That's terrible. I should really just leave IMDb up all the time. Mm-hmm.
Take your time.
I'm working on it.
She was in the James Bond film, the worst one, Die Another Day.
Rosamund Pike.
But yes, Rosamund Pike, very good.
Rosamund Pike, there you go. See, you didn't know what it was either.
I was blanking at the moment, yes.
But yeah, she gives a fantastic cold performance where she can just switch from one personality to the next, and it's actually crazy to watch. But yeah, a lot of twists and turns, very dark film, very Finchery. So if you're into that kind of stuff, hey, check it out.
No, that's a good one. It just didn't quite make the cut for me, but it's in my honorable mentions. My number 2 then, Matt, is Kill Bill. I think just a fantastic film by Tarantino, one of my favorites, though I prefer Volume 1, which I think you do as well. It's definitely the more talky. I'm sorry, no, I'm wrong. I prefer Volume 2 because it's the more talky version. Volume 1's more action-y. So I love the confrontation at the end between Thurman and Bill. The bride and Bill at the end, I think, is one of the highlights of the movie, of the whole series, of the whole 2 films, the film, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, no, Kill Bill's my number 2 as well. It's an absolutely fantastic film. You've already talked about it. So
sorry. All right. Yeah, and I do prefer Kill Bill 1 more, just because I'm shallow, and that whole fight scene with Crazy 88s and over in Ishii in the snow is fantastic. It's one of the, I could watch that all day long. All right, so my number 2, going back to Fincher.
I want to ask you that. Are we ever going to get the whole bloody affair here in the States? I mean, what
Probably
point?
not. Probably not. Maybe when Q retires and he needs to like put an addition on his house to be like, all right, let's put it together and throw it out there.
That's what I'm saying.
We got a grindhouse, which I actually don't like. I don't like as much as the individual films because they cut stuff out to make it fit better. And I think Death Proof especially suffers from some of the stuff that they cut out of it.
Yeah. Still, I don't know. All right, yeah. Go ahead. What do you got?
All right, so my number 2 is another David Fincher film. One of the earliest films we watched for the show, which is The Social Network. This is essentially about the creation of Facebook and how Mark Zuckerberg steps on and betrays everybody he has to become the multi-billionaire that he is today, for something that we all hate yet still use. Betrays the Winklevoss twins. He betrays his best friend, to get where he's at, and he has absolutely no remorse about it. You wouldn't think that the story of the creation of a website for quote unquote keeping track of your mom's goings and doings and looking at
your
sped up
ex-girlfriend?
Yumly restaurants, yeah, exactly, or stalking your exes or whatever, would be that interesting. But it is a fascinating film. I think one of the best films we saw that year for sure. And if you haven't seen it, you definitely have to.
Yeah, it's where Fincher shoots it like an action movie. He really does, and it works from start to finish. It is fantastic. That's a good pick. All right, Matt. My number 1 then is not just film about betrayal, but greed, and that's The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Have you ever seen Treasure of Sierra Madre, the John Huston film?
Of course not. Who are you talking to?
Oh, Matt, you have to watch it. Humphrey Bogart and Walter Huston, John Huston's dad, and then Tim Holt play a bunch of prospectors, and they stumble upon gold. But unfortunately, the greed overwhelms Bogart, and he basically kills his compatriots. He betrays them, if you will, to keep all the gold from himself. And of course, things then unfortunately don't go too well for Bogart as well. But if you haven't seen Treasure of Sierra Madre, this is one of those that I just kind of held off. It's like, yeah, it's supposed to be a classic film. I'll get to it. And I eventually watched it, and it is stunning. It is a fantastic film. So if you haven't seen it, it is incredible, and I can't recommend it enough. So check it out right away.
All right, I'll check it out right away. I'll add it to the list of long things that you've suggested that I have to check out right away that I've been putting off.
That's right. You got to Payback and Treasure of Sierra Madre just today.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so my number 1 is probably one of the most crushing bummers of a film I've ever seen. This is Atonement. Essentially, this is a film about a young girl who's jealous of her older sister and the relationship she has with her boyfriend, and she accuses him of a crime that he did not commit. And it kind of takes place in World War I era. Is it World War I or is it World War II? World War II era England.
It has that fantastic Dunkirk scene that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
That was it. Joe was it West Joe? What the hell's his name now? The director shoots of this long tracking scene, a la Children of the Men type stuff, but it's the evacuation of Dunkirk, and it's incredible.
Yeah. It's an absolutely gut-wrencher, gut punch of a film. It's a tough watch, and I don't know how often you're going to go back and say, man, I really want to watch Atonement again after you watch it, but if you haven't seen it, you really need to see it because it is a fantastic film.
I think it's on Netflix. At least it was for a while.
It was for a long time. I don't know if it still is.
Yeah, Atonement is great. I was blown away by that film when I first saw it. So, yeah, that's a great pick, man. I don't know if it should be number 1, though. That's kind of weird.
Why?
I don't know. Just better films out there, like Treasure of Sierra Madre.
Well, I've never seen Treasure of Sierra Madre, so what can I say about it?
All right, what are your honorable mentions?
Snatch, the Guy Ritchie film about bare knuckle boxing and crime stuff. I think it's probably his best crime film. It's a lot of fun, but it kind of reaches around at the end. The Usual Suspects. Well, it's Guy Ritchie's he's a generous guy. The Usual Suspects, obviously, an excellent film. If you haven't seen The Usual Suspects, it's got one of the great twists in the canon. But kind of again based off of a betrayal, really the whole thing. And then when you mentioned this. The thing that immediately came to mind was Layer Cake, which I remember really liking, but I haven't seen it in so long. Like I can't really remember that much about it, so I didn't include it on this list.
Yeah, there's not. I wouldn't say there's a real betrayal in that film. I don't think. No, I love Layer Cake.
Not even the final shot.
I guess so, but that's more of a. I feel like that's more of a. No, I don't think that's not the core of the film. All right, that's more of a consequence of the actions. I don't think it's really the core of the film. We're not following that character throughout the film, seeing how he gets to that point. That's more Daniel Craig's story. I remember too, though. I don't know. I've said this a dozen times. I walked out. I saw it at the Cinema City in Hartford. You remember Cinema City? I saw Brick there. I remember walking out that theater thinking, that guy needs to be James Bond. He has to be James Bond.
And you got your wish. The universe listened. That was your one wish fulfillment from the universe. So I hope you're not disappointed because it was a good one, right?
Yeah, for a couple films. Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, that's all I got.
I had Infernal Affairs, the film The Departed is actually based off of. The Departed is a remake of that, and of course The Departed as well. We had The Third Man, which I considered, but I didn't feel like it was enough of a betrayal per se. Gone Girl as well. What Lies Beneath, a film I talked about a little bit previously. And then my cheat was going to be my David Mamet quadrilogy, which was Red Belt, Heist, Spanish Prisoner, and House of Games. All have a core of some betrayal to them, but they're also more about other things. Though I have to say probably Spanish Prisoner would be the most betrayal-esque. So, yeah, fantastic. I'm sure we missed some. Shoot us an email, feedback@thefirstrun.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Matt, next week, did we make a decision about next week?
No, we didn't. It was either going to be Nocturnal Animals or Office Christmas Party.
Yeah, I'm going to try and do both, but we'll see. And also, you want to keep it as a surprise? The other thing?
Yeah, why don't we keep it as a surprise? The other thing.
All right, we'll just clearly say that the Asian Horror Marathon is going to be pushed back a little bit more, partly because we're hoping Train to Busan shifts to a rental instead of just a buy, but we'll see.
Because we're cheap.
But yeah, so that's going to be it for this week. Shoot us an email, as we said, feedback@thefirstrun.com or at thefirstrun.com. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You can find us all there. Just do a search for The Big Show. And that's going to be it for this week, Matt, except I do have one more thing for you, if I may.
Okay.
Just have to figure out where I am. We asked you that one. We asked you that one. So you're left with comedy cartoon. Or, wow, you must have. Yeah, all right. I'll just give you comedy cartoon because I don't even know at this point. What 2010 movie features the likes of Woody, Slinky, and Mr. Potato Head? 2010. Actually, I did ask you that already.
Is it Toy Story 2?
Because I stretched that.
Toy Story 2?
No, it was 3. I already did ask you that already by stretching it 2010.
Okay. All right.
So let's move on.
I failed.
That's right. Well, I think you got it right the last time, though. All right. Yeah, I'm going to ask you this one. Drama musical. Laurence Olivier plays an aging Nazi hunter after Gregory Peck in what movie?
Ooh, I don't know this one.
Come on.
The Boys from Brazil?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice save.
All right. I had to think there for a second.
All right. So that's The Big Show. Well, I'm going to take an extended break, and we'll see everybody in a week. Thanks for listening.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.